work session of the Enterprise City Council order. Let the record show that all members of the council are present. The mayor is absent tonight, he is on city business, traveling tonight. So, Jonathan, you gonna give us a Q3 goal update before we review our agenda?
Council members, just if you look on your sheet, Q3 goals in red, just like we talked about at the last meeting, most of these are done. The ones that aren't are in the budget. So that was some of the goals you'll look on their budget for public transportation. You know, they had a ribbon cutting for that recently,
Right.
But we've committed no funds at this point to the operation. If you approve the budget tonight, it will be in next year's budget and be funded. So if you go down, really, you see number 8, fire chief is continuing to work with stakeholders. He briefed you at the last council meeting about that. That's going to be an ongoing issue until we get some sort of resolution about how to implement that in a cost-effective way that businesses downtown can implement and that they can get, service. So we've got some more dialogue that needs to happen on that. The PV Park project, we anticipate, if you approve the budget tonight, to buy some equipment that will allow us to do some of that work in-house and then phase in additional services as needed on that. So we talked about some of those things might be we don't pave the parking lot initially out of the budget. We don't put lights on the ball fields on that phase initially, but we have subsequent phases that can come in when the budget permits, or if we have funds that are freed up or projects come under budget, like the rec center or something like that, and we can move forward. And at that time, you'll have the chance to vote to use those funds or not. The only other one that I'll say is you see it in October, second meeting in October for the business license fixes. We're still anticipating having you some draft language on our recommendations for rectifying those. As we discussed, those are just, tweaking the language that's in there to make it clear for businesses. We don't anticipate changing a lot of the percentages or calculations. It's more about, if you read it and I read it, we should come to the same conclusion about what that number should be. And we feel that in section R and maybe 1 or 2 other sections that may not be the case. So we're trying to clarify that. Any questions?
Anybody got anything for Jonathan on our Q3? Looks like we're on track to complete the vast majority of our third quarter goals. We do need to figure out when we can all get together for fourth quarter planning. I believe what we've been doing is just coming in an hour early. What's our next meeting? Is it the 2nd? Is it the 3rd? The 3rd. How's 4 o'clock look on October 3rd? Does that look good to everybody? 4 o'clock on October 3rd. All right. So Beverly will just need to advertise as such. Okay, got that taken care of. And no more questions on our strategic plan. All right, well, we'll move on to our next item on the agenda, which is to review our agenda for tonight's regular meeting. So if you'll turn with me to your big packet. All right, we'll have a roll call and opening prayer and pledge of allegiance, then move on to approve our agenda, which we're about to discuss. Then, so we've got the consent agenda. Those items are meeting minutes. Y'all stop me if we need to pull something out and discuss in detail. City Council meeting minutes, September 5th, contract billings for Wiregrass Construction for Phase 3 resurfacing A and B. Where are we at on that, Glenn? we wrapping up phase 3. So, all right. Any questions on phase 3? Beasley Construction Services, which is for the multipurpose rec center complex out on the college's property. We've got a progress billing on that. Then we've got invoices from Poly Incorporated for those same projects, resurfacing phase 3A and B, and also the multipurpose rec complex. Then we've got an invoice from CDG for the Recreation and Aquatic Center for professional services, and Fine Getty Associates for our contract services for our state government relations plan. Then we got travel requests from Main Street and the police department. Anything on the consent agenda? Any questions? Everybody's got that. Then we've got a request to address the council for a permit on the MLK Memorial March. Chief, any issues with that? Anything we need to know about that before? Yeah. All right. Then we've got a Chamber of Commerce Fall Festival and Christmas Parade. I assume that's what I see members of the Chamber here tonight to discuss. Y'all want to give us a report on that in this meeting or in the regular meeting? I guess it just, I mean, Jonathan, what were y'all thinking on, or Tammy, I mean, Mariah, anybody? Yeah, I would suggest doing it now unless you want the YouTube audience later. So pick your poison there. Makes no difference to us. We do have, how long is this going to take? Just a few minutes? Yeah. Well, we don't have an hour.
We'll be brief. So, since I have a request in for, I need this, 2 permits. The first, of course, being the Boll Weevil Fall Festival, which we have requested for Saturday, October 21, 2023. Set up to break down hours being 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. All of that is normal. As we've done it in previous years, there's no changes or modifications to that. So I don't think you need really any additional information. We did add on here rain date possibilities, although we did not advertise that to our vendors because, quite honestly, if it rains it out, it's almost like just it rained out.
Mm-hmm.
But if we need to call that audible, we did put it on there. Now on to everybody's favorite topic, Christmas parade. So, as you guys are very well aware, there is a lot of construction going on downtown, particularly at the opposing corners near the Boll Weevil Monument. And I think that there might be some additional construction projects that may be starting between now and the Christmas parade. So there could be extra barriers, extra, public health and safety concerns down in that area, mostly because when you have 13,000 people lining the streets, it's going to be really hard to, manage whether people are climbing on top of those barricades or leaning on the non-fence, etc. So for us, we thought that, it would be a better idea to alter the parade route slightly so that we could avoid that area there.
Has everybody seen this? Should be in your packets.
So the modification would be, instead of going straight down Main Street as we normally do, rather we would take a little left on Easy Street and then a right on Edwards, passing by the Coffee County Courthouse, coming back up Grubbs by the library and back on to Main Street with the normal exit plan that we usually do. Also, last year we integrated the live television broadcast through WTVY with Patriot Production Group. And so for another reason, we want our city to look as presentable as humanly possible on TV. And we thought that courthouse would make a nice backdrop with the parades passing by. So that was the other adjustment to be made for the parade route. we have had numerous meetings about this, multiple emails and phone calls and correspondence. And so both Chief Moore and Chief Davis have been looped in. Barry Mott's been looped in. Rob's here as our parade chairman. If you have any additional questions about the parade route proposed changes.
Any questions? I mean, my only questions for staff. I mean, it sounds like there's been numerous meetings, and I assume everybody's on board with this, aware of this.
Mm-hmm.
And so we've got thumbs up from staff. Y'all, did you have some feedback? Or okay.
Just so you guys know, Aaron did let me know a couple of weeks ago, and I reached out to the Friends of Main Street group. So as far as the downtown businesses, the Friends of Main Street exec officers were informed. They sent back just a list of their feedback, and I already shared that with Aaron and Police Chief. So I think that they're handling that on their committee.
So y'all think this temporary change for to accommodate the construction, or is this potentially a permanent change if it works? And where's y'all's head on that?
Does it have more to do with the media?
No.
I mean, I think they
It's
both
safety.
go hand in hand, but the safety aspect is the more important issue.
Yeah.
I mean, so potentially if it works out well and we like it better, I mean, you got to go through it to find out
Right.
that aspect of things. If we decided that we would like to proceed with this parade route in future years, that would be an after action conversation once the parade has gone through. But if it doesn't work well, then it's a temporary change for 1 year, and then we can go back to our regularly scheduled program.
Right.
I mean, some of the concerns, obviously, from downtown are the same concerns that they always have, which is the parking issue. But, I think that with the help of the police department and our committee and anybody else who wants to volunteer, we're always accepting those, we can manage that.
Right. Okay. Any other questions or concerns?
Personally, I just hate to see it not to get them straight through downtown. Just my opinion.
Understand?
So to be open, we were in all the meetings, we discussed it, the pros and cons, with the understanding that if we make this square shape, all of Main Street's still going to have to be closed.
Right.
So that's all of Main Street, Easy Street, Edwards, Grubbs, and the rest of Main, which means it would still stand that we will not have any parking on Main Street because there's no way that I can get cars out unless we direct them down one way, which would just be a mass exodus. So there still will be no parking there, but luckily on Easy Street, Grubbs, and Edwards, there is no parking on the side of the road anyway. So, and there's sidewalks there for people to sit on. So that's, like I said, it's not the city's idea. This was brought to us. We sat in all the meetings, discussed the pros and cons to everything. Certainly can try it out, but those are the pros and cons. Yep, there's a lot of construction there, and that is a nice backdrop. There's a lot more to close.
And one thing we talked about too was that now opens up Main Street as a walkway for folks coming from either side with no vehicles going down. And also a chance for food trucks or something to be out there as a sidewalk type show prior to the parade and after the parade.
So College and Main Street will
Right.
still be closed.
Mm-hmm.
And there's still access to parking and the NC Parker parking lot and the courthouse parking lot, provided that people get there in time. I mean, and that's an issue whether we go that route or another route.
Right.
Yeah, all the parking will still be open to everybody. That's not going to change. Even across the street from First Baptist. First Baptist. Even that area will be open for parking.
You just access it from the
Yes, sir.
west
Yes,
side.
sir. I'm gonna move all my barricades up to where just Main Street, so all that streets can be accessed. The businesses on the side, Courts and Cattle, the Rolls, if they decide to have something on the back side, that's all gonna be accessed from the back side. Churches and everything. So.
Okay. All right. Thank you all very much.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Next item is a permit street closure request from ESCC, Main Street Enterprise, Whoville, 5K, and Fun Run. So, any changes to this from previous years?
Yes, we are just changing the date so that if Whoville does get rained out, the 5K and Whoville will not collide. So it's just shifting it by a week.
Gotcha. All right. Any questions, concerns? Then we'll have privilege of the floor and any staff reports. Then we'll have old business. We've got a Tacos El Valle ABC license request, a Barrel Room ABC license request. Then we've got ordinance 091923, which is to introduce GO warrants series 2023. So these are some general obligation warrants. Fill us in on that, John.
So if you recall, a couple times over the last 6 weeks or so, we talked about potentially working out and amending our funding agreement with the Water Board. So essentially, right now, the Water Board had some GO warrants through the city. Our cost of capital is cheaper. We can borrow money cheaper. So this is a savings for the Water Board. And they also have a funding mechanism through their capital. I think they added a $5 fee for every meter, every customer. And so it can only be used for capital projects. So that funding will be pledged to the city as part of this to pay that, but it will be our GO debt. So just to be clear, and that amount was roughly about $16 million for water projects over the next 3 to 5 years that they have on their capital plan. In aggregate, this helps balance out their annual expenses. It saves them a little over $300,000 in cost to borrow, and the city is able to do this. It's a win-win for the water system and ultimately the customers here.
Yep. So no fundamental changes from what we discussed before.
No, sir.
So basically tonight we are just allowing the mayor and our investment bankers to go out and sell these bonds.
That's correct.
Have we already executed the funding agreement with the water, or is that part of this?
We have not.
So that'll be subsequent to this.
Yeah, and technically, I mean, I don't know how Rayner's going to do it, but it could look like an amendment to the existing funding agreement.
Yeah, I guess the bond lawyers will have to help us with that.
Okay. Right. And the water board obviously won't get the money until we execute that agreement. Okay. All right. Any questions, concerns on this? All right. Next item is our fiscal year 2024 budget. It's Leanne. So we've been discussing this ad nauseum for a month now. It seems like we've had 2 work sessions, talked about it at our last council meeting. No big changes. So it's what we discussed. That's what it appears. Any questions on our budget? So, all right, we'll introduce and adopt that tonight. Now we've got our employee classification plan for communications supervisor. Resolution 091923A. Who's got that, Chief? So we're moving a communications supervisor and pay grade from grade 16 to grade 19.
Yes, sir. So certainly part of that, since the city pays the salary and it's reimbursed by E911. We've been through three cycles of applications in the last numerous months trying to fill 2 slots for communications. and every single one of them, either they've turned down the job. We've heard comments from the two main complaints that we've gotten was, I don't like the hours, or that's not enough pay. Well, the hours I certainly can't help. It's a 24/7, 365 operation. But if I can throw a little bit more money at them, more people I think would apply. And so we looked at where we can get this money, and certainly E911, which has come up, that there's certain specific things that money can be used for, and one of those is for salaries for dispatchers. So there won't be any change to the city, but E911 has a new increase of funds that we can take some of that money, approximately with fringe benefits, everything. Lee and I looked at it's about $82,000 a year increase for all dispatchers to get a good raise. So we've withheld applying for dispatchers again, waiting to see if this gets approved. If it gets approved, then we'll announce tomorrow, hopefully, or Thursday, that we're hiring dispatchers. So it's a hard job to fill. I think I have a problem with officers because I need a lot of officers. I have a problem with dispatch because they don't last very long because they get into an enclosed area. They're answering phones 24/7, and being in an enclosed area can really play on somebody. So even the ones that we do hire, some of them don't last 6 months before they're ready to call it quits. So hopefully a little bit more with the city, refurbishing downstairs. I think we're moving in the right direction to get good quality candidates.
And this is resolution A, B, and C. These are all the same things,
Yes,
just
sir.
3 different positions. We've got a communications supervisor, a senior officer, and a communications
That's
officer.
all three
Yeah.
Yes, sir. That's all three positions in communications.
So we'll be moving the supervisor from a 16 to a 19, the senior officer from a 13 to a 16, and the officer from a 12 to a 15.
Yes, sir.
All right. Any questions of Chief on this? All right. And all this is accommodated for in the budget that because we discussed this in the budget work sessions.
Yes, we discussed this. I know not in at the last council meeting, but at the last E911 board meeting, we
Yeah.
did discuss on that side the funding. So that has been taken into account for the city's budget and also on the E911 budget.
Right.
So it's included.
Which we'll have a E911 board meeting after
Correct.
our 6 o'clock regular meeting.
Yes.
Okay.
And certainly, let me always throw this in. The dispatchers we have are phenomenal. And I want to keep them.
Right.
They're all really good. If you don't know, counties opening their own dispatch center, and I don't want any of mine to leave. They're all really good at what they do. So.
Yeah. All right. Thank you. All right. Next item is to authorize the mayor to execute a room space agreement at the old Coppinville Junior High School for the police department. So I believe we've discussed this.
Yes. We started the movement over there. We're just finalizing with the agreement, the MOU with the school system
Right.
of us being over there, utilizing the area during the renovations. So.
Yeah. All right, then we've got, you might as well stay up here, Chief. We've got the Axon Enterprise Incorporated agreement for the in-car cameras for the police department.
Yes, sir. So we have 2 cars that we've ordered. Don't have them yet. They were supposed to have a 60-day turnaround, but that's the market that we're in. They're still waiting to be delivered, which I need to order 2 in-car cameras for that. Then requested, if the budget's approved, I requested 4 more vehicles for next year. With that 4 new vehicles, I need 4 new in-car cameras, and this would cover all my in-car cameras that I'm looking to purchase. The Axon is important. I'm trying to keep everything together. As I explained with the Axon programs, is if you turn on the body camera, the in-car camera comes on. If you turn on the in-car camera, the body camera comes on. I think that's important to get all the information towards any type of business that we have to deal with. So why I want to enter a contract now is prepare for those 2 cars that are coming in from fiscal year 23, but I can enter a contract and get it cheaper. I say cheaper. After October 1st, they're going up in rate. So if we sign now, we get a little bit. And it's something we have to have anyway. So.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Any questions on the additional Axon cameras for our new vehicles? All right, then that's good, Chief. That's all we got. Then the last item is simply to introduce an ABC license request for Miranda's Mexican Restaurant. Then then we'll conclude with council comments. Turn real quick. Looks like we're a few minutes ahead to the E91 board meeting, just to make that meeting more efficient. So we've got our professional services contract for 911 Consult Incorporated. Is Tangi going to tell us about that, or?
Good afternoon. So, sorry about that. So we want to go ahead and execute the contract with Lee Moore so that we can go ahead and sufficiently do the dispatch area right the first time. And I feel like what he's requesting is fair. We only need to use him maybe twice. And if we need to bring him back in, then we will also pay him for that visit also.
So I take it this guy
He is
specializes
professional.
in dispatch
Putting
areas.
everything together. I mean, asking questions, making sure we're up to code. And he will also be able to talk with Barry and the IT just to make sure that all the wires, every card, everything is taken care of. And we won't have to be guessing and get in there. We need extra stuff.
And he's got experience with transitioning from
Yes, sir.
one room to another room.
Oh, he's also right now he's at Bullock County, Bubba Blue. They're moving from one location to another location. We've got several other people, including New Brockton. They're getting their own dispatch command center. Thank you, Chief. And so, in others in Alabama. So he's the guru for dispatch centers.
Gotcha. Any questions of Tangi on this agreement? All right, then we've got the FY24 budget, which we've already discussed at a previous work session. Anything to add on that?
The only thing to add with the budget is I know they've changed it so that the 19.74% will reflect, but that money will not be available until 6 months later. And when I say 6 months later, it will not be available until March or April, and we will not receive the full amount. We will only receive half the year for that physical year. So instead of us getting $72,000, which we will get in a year, we're only going to get the 36. So from April to October, they will pay us $6,000 more per month, and then the following year we'll get the whole amount for that $72,000 more. Am I making myself clear?
Who's paying this?
The state is
So
collecting
this is the
it.
state.
Yes, and they distribute it. So I have what we have is the 911 board has approved the 19.74 increase and is gone through legislature as of the 16th, a couple of days ago. So we will receive that money. And then how it affects us, we'll get that calculated amount. The 911 board will collect the fees from the subscribers, Verizon, Alltel, any carrier, and then that will be done in January 2024. And by March of 2024, they will distribute the funds that they received. So then all the ECDs will start receiving those monies.
So in a nutshell, this is a new revenue source we're getting that the legislature passed.
That won't happen until April.
That we're not going to actually start collecting
until 2024.
All right. Any questions on that?
So, just to be clear, the April is just the 36,000.
Mm-hmm.
And
From
then
April
the
to
remainder is going to be
After
Did you say?
This year we'll get
This
36,000.
year,
Moving
okay, this
forward, we'll get 72,000.
right?
But we're not getting 36,000 less than we got last year. It's going to be 36,000 more than we got last year.
That's correct. From the
That's
state.
I was misunderstanding. Well, okay, understood now. Any other questions on the budget? All right, then we've got a salary reimbursement increase. So introduce call for consideration of 911 coordinator to increase the reimbursement of salaries to $80,000 per year to attract. So this is in direct correlation to the 3 resolutions we just discussed.
Right. And the $80,000 per year, and I'm sure Leanne and Chief have mulled over the numbers and they've come up with, and I don't know when this is going to start. October the 1st of this year.
As soon as the budget, if the budget's accepted, that's when we'll start.
Right, budget and those resolutions.
Yes, budget and the resolution.
So the $80,000, which we will 911 funds will go ahead and submit or supplement their salary. Am I right? So where are we going to get the 80 when we won't get the 72 until the following year, unless we're going to get it out of the account,
It was just draw down on the reserves.
out of the reserves? So just wanted to make sure.
Isn't that what we were planning on, Leanne? Because there's a nice healthy balance in the 911
Of
fund.
course. And that balance has been there and collected for over, the reason why it's 900 plus is because it's been collected over 20 years.
Right.
So,
So we're going to spend around 48,000 of it this year until we start collecting that new
okay.
in April. Okay. Anything to add?
My discussion on that is that they're generally speaking as a surplus in the E911 funds. Again, I know we discussed this at the board meeting last time. Those funds can only be spent on certain areas. We are currently this year in the need for a new dispatch center, so there will be a large chunk of money that is going to be spent on that. However, historically speaking, there have always been excess funds available there to be utilized in that system, and I think Chief and I would say that the supervisor for the dispatchers and everything would agree that that is a good use of those funds, seeing as how they would not be able to be used for anything
Right.
else. So, but yes, it will initially, because that does not kick in until a certain time. We will be using some of the current funds that have been built up. Yes.
Okay. Any questions on that or concerns? Of course, we'll address this in the E911 board meeting after, at the end of the night tonight. So, anything else? All right. Going back to the work session, we've got a request from Mr. Telos and Mr. Cotter, our city attorney, to go into executive session regarding economic development, good name and character, and some legal issues that we need advice from our attorney on. Does that cover it, Rainer? We expect this will last approximately 25 minutes. We will come back in here, adjourn from our work session. Don't expect to discuss anything else in work session. We'll roll right into our regular meeting at 6 o'clock. Do I hear a motion to go into executive session?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to go into executive session for economic development, good name and character, and legal issues. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, we'll be back at 6 o'clock.
A mess, isn't it?
That's for sure.
Anybody need it?
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I've got 6 o'clock, so I will call this meeting of the Enterprise City Council to order. Let the record show that all members of the council are present. Our Mayor Cooper is not present tonight. He's out of town attending to city business. If you will, please stand with me for the opening prayer and pledge of allegiance. We've got Pastor Ben Bowden from Enterprise First Baptist Church to lead us in our prayer.
Let us pray. Lord, your word tells us in Proverbs 16, verse 3, that if we commit our work to the Lord, you will establish our plans, and that's what we desire. We know that you are the one from whom all good things flow, all blessings flow. And so, God, we plead with you in the name of Jesus for wisdom and for discernment and for insight. Lord, we thank you for such a sweet town like Enterprise, the city of progress. We thank you for the leaders of Enterprise, and we pray blessing over them. We pray for their homes. We pray for their families. And God, we pray that the citizens of Enterprise would continue to do their part, that every one of us would feel the weight of being a good citizen, loving our neighbor, and striving for a better tomorrow, all for your glory. We pray all of this in the powerful name of Jesus. Amen.
Amen. Please join me in pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. I should add that our work session ran over a little bit. We're in recess of our work session so that we can conduct our regular meeting. Then we'll reconvene in work session after the E911 board meeting, which will follow this meeting. So, Council, you should have a copy of the agenda in your packets here that we discussed in the work session prior to this meeting. I will entertain a motion to adopt the agenda as submitted.
I move to approve the agenda of the meeting as submitted.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to adopt the agenda. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We will now consider the consent agenda. All matters listed within the consent agenda have been distributed to each member of the council for review, are considered to be routine, and will be enacted by one motion of the City Council with no separate discussion. If separate discussion is desired on an item, that item may be removed from the consent agenda and placed on the regular agenda by request of a member of the City Council. I will now call for a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We have a request to address the council for a permit request from Mary Hughley regarding the MLK Memorial March. Is Ms. Hughley here? Yes, ma'am. So Ms. Hughley is representing the Good Samaritan Helping Hands and Enterprise Ministerial Allowance, who has requested to address the council to obtain a permit to hold a memorial march honoring Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. on Sunday, January 14th, 2024 at 2 p.m. The march will begin at City Hall and end at Liberty Missionary Baptist Church on Geneva Highway. Is there anything that you'd like to say about the event?
No,
if you could you speak into the microphone here? We've got people listening online. I'm sorry.
Thank you for having me. Good evening, everybody. And I'm so thankful. And I just wanted you to accept it because we are doing it for a great man. He left a great legacy behind, you know. So that is it.
All right.
We just
Any
want to see
questions
if it's
for
all okay with you?
any questions for Ms. Hughley? All right. We talked to the chief beforehand about this. He's given it a blessing. So I'll entertain a motion to approve the permit request as submitted.
I move to approve the permit request as submitted.
Second.
All right, with a motion and a second, is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much.
All right, we've now got a request to address the council for a permit request from the Chamber of Commerce Fall Festival and Christmas Parade. So we actually spoke to this group in the work session beforehand. That was Aaron Grantham, representing the Enterprise Chamber of Commerce, who has requested to address the council to obtain permits for the following events: the Boll Weevil Fall Festival on Saturday, October 21st, 2023, from 9 a.m. until 5 p.m., with a rain date of Saturday, October 28, 2023, or November 4th, 2023, and the Enterprise Christmas Parade on Tuesday, November 28, 2023, from 5:30 p.m. until 8:30 p.m., with a rain date of Thursday, November 30th, 2023. Like I said, we discussed this with them in the work session prior, so I will entertain a motion to approve the permit request.
I move to approve the permit requests as submitted.
Second. All right, we have a motion and a second to approve the permit request as submitted. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, we've got a permit street closure request from ESCC and Main Street Enterprise, Whoville, 5K, and Fun Run. So I call for a motion to approve the following permit requests as submitted: Whoville, 5K, and Fun Run. Event time and date is 8 a.m. to 11 a.m., Saturday, December 16th, 2023. Rain date is Saturday, December 23rd, 2023. Street closure from 7 a.m. to 12 p.m. Closure area is East College Street. So as you can see here, it's been previously approved by the council on March 7th, 2023, but this is a revised date change in the event of rain. So we've gotten approval from Chief Moore in the work session, so I'll entertain a motion to adopt this request.
I move that we adopt the permit request as submitted. Approve the permit request.
Is there a second? All right, we have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, now we have time of the meeting called Privilege of the Floor. This allows any members of the public who are present here this evening to address the council for 3 minutes. Is there anyone who wishes to address the council? All right, come forward. And just so everybody knows, typically the council reserves comments for at the end of the meeting. We've got a section for council comments. So, yes, sir. Please clearly state your name and what you're here for.
My name's Ashton Cutts, and I'm here to talk about the rec center project. Hey guys, I really don't want to be here, just so you know. I just want to go make chili dogs and fried chicken, but here we are. So we've been dealing with this project now for a while. It's been a burden on my business, a lot. And what I understood was going to happen and what actually happened are two different things. But right now, my biggest problem is I don't have enough parking for my customers. Just my front parking lot alone before March 28th had 74 parking spots. Right now, my entire parking lot, front and back, has 40. That was just the front parking lot. I can't even imagine what the back parking lot was because you could just park wherever you wanted. So my parking has been reduced to a small fraction of what it was. What I need is access to the parking lot in front of the rec center. I've already talked to the construction crew. They're okay with it, but they will not accept any liability for that parking lot. And the city has to accept that liability. I've done all the work I can. I've asked the city for a lot, very simple things, signs, pardon our progress signs and stuff like that, from the Chamber of Commerce and from the Visit Enterprise, and they were all on board on it, and they were apparently told no by the people above them. I'm just trying to get a little help to let people know we're still open. We're not closed. There's a big push for putting lines and the surface asphalt in my parking lot, but that's not going to do anything. It doesn't make more parking. We went from serving 400, 500, 600 people a day to 200 or 300 because they can't fit in our parking lot. And I love the city and I love everything about it, and I've always been a part of it. One of the reasons I don't want to be here, I just want to go take care of my business. But you know, we were told we were going to be part of a lot of meetings. We're going to have a schedule. We were told our business would only be affected for a few weeks. March 27th was the first day they were in my parking lot. I lost $10,000 that week. It hasn't stopped. Right now, as of July 31st, I've lost $250,000. It'll be almost $4,000 or $400,000 by the end of September, and by November there might not be a cuts, and I need help. I've tried to be quiet and ask for help in simple ways. It hasn't done anything, so I came here today.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Cutts. Is anybody else here for privilege of the floor? All right, we'll move on to staff reports. Any staff reports?
So council, last year you've accepted and allowed me to have a reserve program. We did a trial run, hiring or doing applications for 5 applicants to do the reserve program, which would soon be called the auxiliary program because we'll have chaplains involved as well. We took the 5, 4 of them went through the 3 months of the academy. Unfortunately, his wife was offered a lot better paying job out of the state, so he unfortunately had to drop out. He won't be here tonight. But these are the last 3 that have joined our reserve or auxiliary program, and I'd like to introduce them to the council, give them recognition for a job well done. They went through 3 months of in-house academy. They were pepper sprayed, hazed, asked, beaten, and everything else. Defensive tactics, and they still stayed on and wanted to do it. It's again volunteer. They paid for the vest, and the city supplied everything else to include the training. But I'm pretty proud of them, and this is the beginning of creating a reserve program that gives a supplemental law enforcement support in our community, and appreciate the 2 active duty military that on top of the active duty military stuff they do, they also volunteer for the community. The other one's retired military, works at the safety center, and he volunteers this time. So quickly, I'd like to introduce them and give them a little certificate and tell them thank you. So, yes, let me back up one thing. My reserve coordinator, Chris Millard, he actually is a full-time employee, retired military, and he came to me and asked me. We had meetings on it, and he wanted to gear or steer this thing up to something that the police department would be proud of. So he's put a lot of time and effort, probably more than what I paid him for. But he too is a dedicated man for his job. And anyways, he's going to come up here and we're going to give a certificate. So I thank you, Chris. Juma. All right. Appreciate it. Yes, sir. Albert Mitchell. Thank you. Jonathan Oldham. Thank you. Thank you, Council.
Thank you. Any other staff reports?
Council, at our budget hearings, one of the things that you requested was to look at our fund accounts, or sanitation and sewer in particular, and look at where we were at. So I asked Barry Mott to go back, and he worked with our CFO to look at where we're at, not just from a loss standpoint in terms of revenues in or out, but also to factor in depreciation of assets in there. We were doing that with the sewer fund, but not with sanitation. So he's got an update. But what I would ask from you is to kind of give us some direction that if you do want us to implement any changes in the fee or rate structures within those, to all at once over a period of years, not at all, so that we can bring an accompanying ordinance back to you in the weeks ahead.
All right.
Good evening. As Jonathan said, one of the things that I was tasked to do was to look at what our services that we're providing as far as sanitation and sewer as well, to see what it cost us to provide that service and how are we doing as far as what revenue's coming in for the service versus what it's cost us to do them. So I went back and redid a rate study for both of those. I'll separate those out for you. So concerning the sewer, last October we did basically a $2 increase $2.50 increase in the sewer bill. That was in the base bill. So currently we're at $9.20 a month on the base bill. There's an environmental fee of $10.50, and then it's a use as you go plan. So the more water you use, there's for example, from 2,000 to 3,000 you pay a fee. From 3 to 5,000 you use a fee. From 5 to 10, so it's an escalating usage fee. So the more you use, the more you pay for. So I talked through with Leanne and looked at what our revenues were on sewer, and basically the service is paying for the typical daily use for what we've got for our expenses versus what we've got coming in, but we're not accounting for any depreciation on any equipment. So we're not making any progress to replacing the trucks and the stuff that we need to do that work. So I went back and looked at what that cost would be, and I amortized that out. And we need to on the sewer, we need to do a impact of about $2.50 more to make the numbers work in the fee. So there's a couple ways that I went about doing this. One, I looked at doing a blanket across the whole board, so it impacted everybody the same. I looked at something in the base fee and a percentage, and then I looked at just doing the usage fees across. And what my recommendation is do what we did about this time last year, is a little bit in the base fee, increasing the base fee $2.50, and then increasing the usage categories 15% across those categories of the ones I told you about. And so I ran that model that we created and basically used a water bill for a typical month to say, if we were to do this $2.50 plus 15% in each one of the categories, how would that affect the typical user? It does generate the revenue that we would need to handle depreciation over a 10, 12-year life cycle for the equipment. The average residential bill would go up about $4 a month. That's average. So if you're getting a sewer bill, your sewer bill would go up about $4 a month. Commercial would go up about $7.50 a month. That is an average, but that would generate about another $500,000 per year of revenue, which would equate to what we need for depreciation of equipment in the sewer department. So that would be my recommendation if you want to make the service pay for itself and include depreciation of equipment. I don't know how you feel about that. I can go into the next one. I'll be glad to answer questions individually.
Any specific questions on that? I would like it if you've got like the calculations on all that. Just if you had something you could email over.
I can send you the spreadsheet, the model that I used.
Yeah, I'd like to see that.
It's very complicated. Be glad to email it to you and show it to you.
Okay.
But you can change the base fee, you can change the percentages, and it kicks out what does it do for the end revenue. Mm-hmm. But the goal was to get to $500,000 to $600,000 of revenue. How you get there, you can manipulate all the different columns.
Yeah.
But the one that seemed to have the least impact across the board was a small increase, $2.50 on the base and the basic fee, and then increasing those additional add-ons. So if a typical user only uses 2,000 gallons of water, if they're a small user, their bill would go up $2.50. So if they use more than 2,000 gallons of water, they would get the $2.50 plus whatever they use in the usage fees. And those categories are already there. Is some recommendation to raise those up 15%. And the whole purpose of this, again, was to try to get revenue, so it took care of our cost of doing our daily business plus overcoming the depreciation of the equipment in the sewer department.
Okay. Any other questions about sewer?
On garbage, it's a little bit easier because as the water bill and the sewer bill, they have different categories, and the more you use, the bills change. And the more water you use, the more your sewer bill change. The garbage is pretty straightforward. There's a monthly bill for your garbage service that you are provided, and then we provide that service for it. So it's pretty easy to calculate how much it costs us to take in garbage and how much money is coming into that account. As y'all know, the equipment costs have gone up extremely high for vehicles. Cost of fuel has gone up. The tipping fees at the landfill has gone up. Everything around us has gone up. From my calculations, we're very close of breaking even at the rates that we did last year as far as the day-to-day operations, very similar to the sewer. But we're still not taking into account we typically need to run about 12 garbage trucks around the city to take care of just the demand that we have today, not the demand that's growing. As the city keeps growing, we have more demand there as well. So we've got about $8 to $9 million worth of inventory in our sanitation department as far as equipment. So I amortized that over basically a 12-year lifespan for a typical piece of equipment. Came up with that we needed to generate roughly, it comes out, we have a deficiency of about $5 per customer per month currently. We were tracking at about $2.50 increase, and we stopped that last year. We were going to go with CPI-U moving forward, but that's currently at 3%. That's not going to get us to breaking even. My recommendation, if you want this to break even, is to do a $5 increase. Now, we can do that over a one-time period, a 2-year period, 2 years at $2.50. We can do it over a 3-year longer span, whatever y'all decide you want to do. But right now, currently, and I don't know what it would be next year because we can't forecast, it will probably be worse the way that the prices keep going up. But today, it would take a $5 increase per customer per month in your garbage fees to pay for the service that we're providing and take care of the depreciation of equipment. And Mr. President, I can give you that calculation. It's a simple number of customers times the fee versus what our cost
if you
is.
send that with the sewer, I'd like
I'd be glad to.
So obviously we're not being asked we don't have anything to act on tonight. So I guess what I would recommend is to spend a couple of weeks thinking about this. Maybe if y'all want to talk with Barry about it, and we can put it on a work session agenda in the near future. Does that sound like a good plan?
That's good. Okay.
All right.
That's
What
all I
else
had
you
on
got
this
there?
one, unless you had a question, but I had a couple more updates for you,
Yep, go
if
ahead.
possible. If I can get Tom, I see him up. I wanted him to give you a quick update of where we are on nuisance property code enforcement. And he pulled some numbers for us, and I want him to go through those with you.
Council, so today I just want to give you a little bit of an update of what we're doing on our nuisance properties along with our nuisance property projects that we have going on. Currently, the demo grant project that we are working on is about 95% complete. We have 3 more properties going in phase 7. Overall, that we would have demoed about 40 plus properties. All those properties are dilapidated structures that could be potential risk to the city. So getting them down is a big win for us. It's a voluntary program that the owners will apply for, they sign up for, and so we're actually doing them a service, and we're doing good for the city by getting those down. Another focus the council has given us is a focused approach on certain multifamily complexes within the city. We've actually done over 200 inspections on those areas within the last 2 months or so. We've got several letters sent out. We've addressed the the more dangerous of the issues first. Most of those have been sewage issues and things like that. And we've actually got some of those sewage issues either addressed, or we've gotten direct contact with the owners and we were trying to get those addressed. We partnered with the health department to help us get some of those things done. Year to date, we've had about 650 code enforcement inspections that we've done, and so that's averaging about a little over 50 a month that we've done. But over the last 2 months or so, or last quarter, we've actually done around 150. And so we've been able to close out about 60 of those. And so that means currently we're working on about 90 cases. When we work on these cases, that can be anything from trying to track down owners to trying to get them abated, or potentially having to take them through court cases or to the court systems and things like that. But we are working on those, and that gives anything from a property maintenance issue, as in like a property is falling apart or dilapidated. It could be grass, it could be abandoned vehicles, it could be rubbish and things like that. We're working on different residential properties as long as different commercial properties, trying to get those brought up to the newly adopted property maintenance code that we had, that we got back in May area. Does council have any questions?
Y'all got anything?
Well, nuisance property is one of my pet peeves, and tonight I gave each of the council members some pictures of the recycling junkyard, you might call it, on Bellwood Road.
Yes,
because I've had numerous calls about that. And here we are spending millions of dollars for a new soccer complex, and we got this eyesore right there. That road is going to be more traveled than ever when this complex is completed. And I think that's we have an issue there that needs to be addressed.
Yes, sir. And we actually have facilitated some communication with the owner of that area, and I have a meeting with him tomorrow to speak about the issues that we are seeing over there, and hopefully get those abated and get the things cleaned up over there that need to be done.
All right.
Yes, we've been working on getting some things done over there in the past, and getting the area cleaned up and whatnot. He has some property behind his current area that he uses that he is wanting to basically expand out. That way he can get the stuff cleaned up, get it off the road, get the cars below the fence like they're supposed to be, and bring it in within compliance within the current ordinance that we have. And so we're going to sit down tomorrow just to kind of hatch out a plan and figure out exactly how we can get those things done in a timely manner, especially with, like Councilman Goolsby said, with the new park going across the street from there. It's going to be well traveled. We want to make sure that area looks nice.
Anything else for Thomas or Barry? All right. Did you have anything else?
Thank you.
I just want to give you one quick update on the Mr. Ashton Cutts comment. I know that they need more parking for what they long-term, and what we, at the end of this project, it shouldn't be an issue because the whole parking lot in front of the rec center will be open. His parking lot will be open. So during the day, when he has a flush of people to come to lunch, he'll have a big parking lot. We have events at nighttime, and on the weekends we'll have use. So it's a neighborly thing that we hopefully both flex into those areas when we need to. I did have some conversation with the contractor and the architect late this afternoon. The contractor up to this point has needed that whole front parking lot to get it ready and use that for laydown area for what he's doing. He has come up with a proposal to give up more parking in front of the rec center to allow that. So we're supposed to be walking that project here in the next day or so to look at that. The construction's not complete, so it won't meet ADA guidelines. It won't meet some other stuff. I want to walk that and see what their plan is. And the only concern that I would have was to make sure that we have a good delineation between the construction area and what the public would be using, to make sure that it's safe for people to use that as a parking area, because we still have a construction project to work on. And then at some point, we'll have to come back if that were to work out. We'd have to come back and still put the wearing surface on all the asphalt.
When you say wearing surface, you mean the final The final layer
the final
of
asphalt on it, which, like, for example, all the curbs that are up there for sidewalks, they're built to add another couple inches of asphalt to finish it off. So if we allow people to park now, they don't meet standard construction measurements. So I want to walk that site, and I'll do that with a contractor here probably tomorrow, as soon as they can meet me on site to do that, and see if there's something we can do to give him more parking for his customers, and do something that would be safe and efficient for the project. But it's still a construction project. But right now, I'd like to give you all a full update on all the construction projects, maybe at our next council meeting or in 2 council meetings from now, if time permits. But they're planning right now. They're still ahead of schedule. The contract said October of next year, but they're right now on schedule to be through in July of next year. But the pool's still got to be dug. There's a lot more of the structure that has to be built. They're coming on out towards the parking lot with the admin space to the front of the rec center. There's still a lot. So I need to walk it with the contractor and make sure that we want to do everything to accommodate and do what we can, but it is still a construction site. We got to make sure we secure that. They won't even let me on the site without a hard hat on the job site, because they're very safety oriented. So we've got to make sure we have a good delineation if we can do this. So we'll do everything we can to accommodate Mr. Ashton.
Okay. Any questions for Barry?
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Barry. Any other staff reports? All right, moving on to old business. We've got a public hearing and consideration of an ABC license request from Tacos El Valle. I will now call for a public hearing prior to consideration of requests from Tacos El Valle LLC, doing business as Tacos El Valle, for a restaurant retail liquor license located at 1016 Rucker Boulevard. This public hearing is now open. Is there anyone here that wishes to speak for or against? Seeing no one, I will close the public hearing and entertain a motion.
I move to approve the ABC license request as submitted.
All right, we have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We want to have a public hearing and consideration of the ABC license request for the Barrel Room. Call for a public hearing prior to consideration of a request from Three Plates LLC, doing business as the Barrel Room, for a restaurant retail liquor license located at 2200 Ozark Highway, Suite B. This public hearing is now open. Is there anyone that wishes to speak for or against? Seeing no one, I will close the hearing and entertain a motion to approve this request.
I move that we approve the ABC license request as submitted.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the ABC license request as submitted. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Move on to new business. Introduce ordinance 091923, which are the GO warrants, Series 2023. Introduce ordinance 091923, related to the issuance of general obligation warrants, Series 2023. And this is something that we've discussed in the work session prior to this meeting, but we also discussed it several weeks ago in relation to the general obligation warrants that the Water Board needs in order to continue with their projects. So we've got a note here from our attorney that says, while suspension of the rules is not necessary to consider and act upon said ordinance, in a height of caution, legal counsel has requested the council to suspend the rules and act thereon. So if we want to do this tonight, he doesn't think we have to, but he would appreciate us suspending the rules if we're going to adopt this ordinance tonight. So I will listen to the pleasure of the council.
I move to suspend the rules for immediate consideration of ordinance 091923.
Second.
All right, we have a motion to suspend the rules to immediately consider ordinance 091923. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. All right, we've suspended the rules for immediate consideration of this ordinance. Is there a motion to adopt?
I move that we adopt the ordinance 091923.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to adopt ordinance 091923. Is there any further conversation or deliberation? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We'll now review and consider Resolution 091923, the fiscal year 2024 budget. I introduce and call for consideration of Resolution 091923, providing for the adoption of the fiscal year 2024 budget in the total amount of $119,608,350 for the general fund, all governmental funds, capital projects, sewer disposal funds, and debt service funds, as detailed in the resolution. So, do I hear a motion?
Move to adopt Resolution 091923.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to adopt Resolution 091923. Are there any further comments? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We'll now review and consider Resolution 091923A to amend employee classification plan for the communications supervisor. I introduce and call for consideration of Resolution 091923A, providing for an amendment to Ordinance 10-1601, which establishes the employee classification plan and salary schedule. The amendment calls for the deletion of communications supervisor in pay grade 16 and reclassifies the existing job classification in pay grade 19. Do I hear a motion?
Move to adopt resolution 091923A.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to adopt resolution 091923A. Is there any further comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We will now review and consider resolution 091923B to amend employee classification plan, senior communications officer. I introduce and call for consideration of resolution 091923B, providing for an amendment to ordinance 10-1601, which establishes the employee classification plan salary schedule. The amendment calls for the deletion of senior communications officer pay in pay grade 13 and reclassifies the existing job classification in pay grade 16. Is there a motion?
Move to adopt resolution 091923B.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to adopt resolution 091923B. Any further comments? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We'll now review and consider resolution 091923C to amend employee classification plan, communications officer. Introduce and call for consideration of resolution 091923C, providing for an amendment to ordinance 10-1601, which establishes the employee classification plan salary schedule. The amendment calls for the deletion of communications officer in pay grade 12 and reclassifies the existing job classification in pay grade 15. Do I hear a motion?
I move that we adopt resolution 091923C.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We'll now consider authorizing the mayor to execute room space agreement regarding Old Coppinville Junior High School and the police department. I call for a motion to authorize the mayor to execute an agreement with Enterprise City Board of Education for the police department's use of room space within the Old Coppinville Junior High School. Do I hear a motion?
Move to authorize the mayor to execute the agreement.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to authorize the mayor to execute the agreement. Is there any further comments? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We'll now we'll consider authorizing an Axon Enterprise Incorporated agreement for in-car cameras with the police department. I call for a motion to authorize the mayor or police chief to enter into an agreement with Axon Enterprise Incorporated for the purchase of 6 in-car cameras for the Enterprise Police Department. Total cost of the 3-year agreement is $73,426.08, with $36,713.04 to be paid the first year, and $18,356.52 each year for an additional 2 years. The requested equipment is a budgeted item within the department's FY 2024 budget. Do I hear a motion?
I move to authorize the mayor or police chief to execute the agreement.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to authorize the mayor or the police chief to execute this agreement. Is there any further comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We will now introduce an ABC license request for Miranda's Mexican Restaurant. I introduce a request from Miranda's Mexican Restaurant, LLC, DBA Miranda's Mexican Restaurant for a restaurant retail liquor license located at 2952 Rucker Boulevard and call for a public hearing to be held at the regular meeting scheduled for October 3rd, 2023. No action on that tonight. All right. The mayor is not here, like I said, traveling on city business. So we'll move straight into council member comments. Ms. Rich.
Thank everyone for coming out tonight. Have a good night.
Mr. Goolsby.
I'd like to thank everyone for coming out tonight, and especially like to thank these gentlemen who are going to offer their time to help the policemen with their reserve officers. That's really an advantage for the city. As you know, nuisance property is something that it'll never be an ending fight, but we have to continue to try. And Mr. Cutts, I hope they can work something out to help you in a hurry.
Mr. Paget.
Thank everyone for coming tonight as well.
Yeah, thank you everyone for coming. Thank you to all our folks that are watching on TV. And thank you especially to all our staff for the 2024 budget. I know a lot of work went into that, and we appreciate it. Thank you to all our city workers. And Ashton, yeah, we'll help you out there. So thank you. God bless. Good night.
Yeah, thank everyone for coming. Certainly thank Leanne and staff for the hard work. I know it looks like we just passed the budget in about 30 seconds, but we've had many meetings on, I know a lot of meetings with staff on getting this budget prepared. I know every department had worked hard on that. And of course, we've had two just about all day work sessions on it. So a relief to get that in place. I think a lot of good projects in there. Ashton, I'd certainly love to talk to you further about your issues. I hope we can get something worked out. I would like to see you immediately after this. I won't have time to talk about it because we do have a 911 board meeting and a work session after this meeting. But I would like to get your phone number so we can get caught up on some things. But all right, so y'all can hang around for the 911 board meeting and the continuation of our work session. Mr. Tellis? Need for the council to act tonight. So are you asking us to recess this council meeting? Okay, so change in plans. We're going to recess our council meeting. We're going to have an E911 board meeting, and we will reconvene in open session after our E911 board meeting. You good with that, Rainer? All right, we will stand in recess. Thank you. 15 minutes, okay. As soon as the room calms down, we'll go with our E911 board meeting. Huh? Oh yeah, 2 minutes. We'll take a 2-minute break. We're going to take a few minute break. Let everybody go to the restroom if they need to.
Well, thanks. I was literally standing in the back saying to myself, well, that was 4 months of my life, and it took them 15 seconds to move on about it.
Yes, if you don't mind. Maybe get us phone number, please.
Because of all that, it'd be quick. If you didn't have all that,
then you could move on.
made it easy for me.
I hope so. That's my goal. Let's make it easy.
Okay, here we go.
Oh, girl.
Let me just show them this.
For your support too.
I appreciate it.
This
is the layout for Zybex. They're gonna come in and do this for us. So we're gonna probably agree on this, and this is just an estimated cost of all of the project.
I go tomorrow.
This is just for the cabinetry. For the console.
The equipment and all that stuff.
Oh yeah, that equipment is it's on top of this, but this is the base, I think they should know about this. Can I just, do I have to? Do I have to? Yeah, I can get it done. No, one of them's for, what's his name? Raymond. Oh. Oh, this is nice.
Hey, how are you today?
Thank you.
Chi.
Oh, I have the.
I don't think I've signed anything. Sign this in one place. That was the only minutes we had tonight, right? Scotty. Sonny G. That one, I signed that one already.
You signed that one. Just waiting on Scotty on that one.
Is this yours?
It's yours. I've got one.
Okay, we all got it. Okay.
The agenda looked like it wasn't on me.
I know, it snuck up on us, didn't it? And we're gonna be here a little longer. Alright, where's my E911? Keep all this separated. Talk to Jonathan. I do not. Not up there. I don't. But I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure he's got the proper channels to. You taking the family up there? So y'all have fun. That wasn't a very good time. Well, hopefully we can get back on a regular schedule maybe next year. Yeah. All right, is everybody ready to get the room back in order? All right, so our council is in recess. We're going to hold a meeting of the E911 board. So all members of the board are present, and this meeting is in order. So we've got some old business. We're going to authorize the professional services contract, which we discussed in the work session prior. So I will call for a motion to authorize the 911 coordinator Tangi Hill to execute a contract with 911 Consult Incorporated for consulting services as needed to design a renovated 911 dispatch center.
I moved
that
up.
we authorize Tangy Hill to execute the contract as submitted.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to authorize Tangy Hill to execute the contract as submitted. Any further discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. We'll now review, moving on to new business, we'll now review and consider Resolution 091923, which is the FY 2024 budget. Introduce and call for consideration of Resolution 091923, providing for the adoption of the FY 2024 budget in the amount of $744,600. Do I hear a motion?
Move to adopt resolution 091923.
I have a motion and a second to adopt Resolution 091923. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We'll now consider the salary reimbursement increase, which this is the companion to the three resolutions we passed earlier in the council meeting. I introduce and call for consideration of a request from E911 Coordinator Tangy Hill to increase the reimbursement of salaries to $80,000 per year to attract and retain qualified operators effective October 1, 2023. Do I hear a motion?
Move to approve the request as submitted.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the request as submitted. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Any other business from the floor?
You have before you something that I want you to review from Zybex. They are the company that we're going to go with to furnish and give us the consoles and the look that we desire for the dispatch command center. Of course, the quote is an estimate only. However, we can discuss that further. I just wanted to make sure you have it in hand so that you can see it. This quote is expires in November. So if we just take a look at it and we can meet again to possibly approve this in the future. That would
Is this in your budget?
This is a part of the budget that we just approved.
That's what I thought. Awesome. All right, so you'll come back before us between now and
In
maybe
November the 20th, because we want to go ahead and get this approved before their expiration, because if not, the price will go up.
Right.
So if we can get this locked in.
All right. Well, board members, why don't you take this home with you? If you got any questions, get with Chief and Tangy on it, and we will wait for you to come back before us and for approval. All right. Any other items from the floor or from board members? All right. Then we will stand adjourned.
Thank you.
All right. We will reconvene in Enterprise City Council work session. Yeah. Barry, we're still rolling, right? All right. Like I said, we're reconvening in not our work session, but in our regular meeting. And we've got a request from our city administrator, city attorney to go back into executive session regarding, let me make sure I cover everything. Economic development, good name and character, and legal issues.
Let me just say for the record, while the camera's on, there was some excitement going on, not related to anybody in here, out in the hallway when the meeting first began.
Right.
Or we would have told you at that point in time that, it may be necessary to come back after executive session to take some action. So I wanted you to know we were dealing with an issue, a disruption out in the hallway.
Right.
So
Understood. Yeah. Thanks, Chief, for handling that. All right. So do we have a motion to go into executive session?
Move to go into executive session.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to go into executive session. Again, those reasons are for economic development, good name and character, and some legal issues to discuss with our attorney. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. I expect this could take 15
to 30
let's say 15 to 30 minutes, and there is a possibility we will take official action when we return. Oh yeah, y'all left your folders back there. Yeah, we're coming back. We gotta come back regardless to either adjourn or.
That's okay. So three on this over with. Which kind of helps with that organization thing. She's saying people just don't want to. That's right. It's all just somebody you don't know. Okay, somebody be like, hey, who are you? Who are you? Like, you're allowed to be here, but it's not allowed to. Let's say because I was sitting in the office from session 4. I also didn't realize that nobody else was going to sit like in the front 2 rows, and then I go, like, okay, well, I guess I'm in. I'm going to be like 2 feet from everybody, but okay, that's fine. I hated him every time I see him. And Georgia Bucks. If you ever get down to the secret kitchen downstairs, Bell City Courthouse.
I don't know. We play volleyball every Saturday right now, so not anytime soon.
I've never been to an Iron Man.
You've never been to an Iron?
Oh, we're back.
So it'll be in Jordan Hare this year. Be a good one. I doubt the outcome will be good. But I don't. They're not any good. They're not any good either. They're better than us.
Okay.
All right, so the council is back from executive session, and it does appear that some business has come up that we're going to need to take up. So first thing I'll do is entertain a motion to add an item to our agenda, considering granting authority for the mayor to enter into an agreement with PR Employer. Is there a motion to add that agenda item?
So moved.
I have a motion second to add the agenda item, considering granting authority for mayor to enter into agreement with PR Employer. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right, we've got that agenda item, which will be the last item on our agenda this evening, regarding the PR Employer agreement. I call for a motion to approve the mayor to execute an agreement subject to legal review by the city attorney for professional consultation and assessment services related to citywide personnel and human resources with PR Employer. Do I hear a motion to grant authority to the mayor for this purpose?
Make a motion to grant the mayor authority to enter into this agreement.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to grant the mayor authority to enter into an agreement with PR Employer. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Any other comments? We are adjourned.
I've been only saying nice things about you.